Hello, everyone. Happy to be here with you. And building on what my colleague Jessica presented and our expert, Mr. Sébastien, so I just have one question before we start. How many of you did not know about clustering before this session? 2? Okay. 3. So it's good. It's a new concept. And the point of our panel is to really see how this form of economic collaboration really contribute to the development of many sectors in the region. So I'm very, very happy to welcome my dear panelists, each one representing one country, one ecosystem. So I have Dr. Ahmed Bastawy from Egypt, representing ICEALEX, Ms. Marwa Abou Dayya, representing Beyond Group, Mr. Nabil Najim, representing OASIS Insight, Mr. Sébastien, welcome back. So I will start by welcoming you to Lebanon and asking you to briefly introduce yourself and the organization that you represent.
Thank you so much, Krystel. It's a great pleasure being here on the panel and being in Beirut again. It's always reviving for me. So this is Ahmed Bastawy, and I go by Bastawy right away. And I'm the managing director of ICEALEX, which is an innovation hub, one of the first Kickstarter of the innovation ecosystem in Egypt, but also across the African continent and the Mediterranean. And we focus on innovation consultancy for multilateral organizations and corporates. And also we have a ventures launchpad supporting entrepreneurs and bridging the gap between startups and corporates in particular. And I have a couple of other hats, and happy to be on the panel today.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Hello, everyone. This is Marwa Abou Dayya. I'm the managing partner for the MENA hub within Beyond Group. So as a group, we're a multinational consulting firm. Our focus is management consulting and policy development. Through this project and in partnership with Berytech, we developed the roadmap for Lebanon, which we'll be discussing bits of in this panel. I look forward to our conversation and to catching up after this.
Thank you, Krystel. Hi, everyone. I'm Nabil Najim. I'm the managing director and CEO of OASIS Insight, which is a company, consulting company on innovation and R&D. Actually, I created OASIS Insight around a year ago after a long experience in clustering. I've been involved in different different sectors, and also prior experience in the industrial sector. So I'm very pleased to be with you. Thank you all Lebanon for your welcome, and hope to have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Welcome back, Sébastien. So already you presented yourself. So to summarize basically what is clustering and to simplify the concept. So we are used to many companies working in a specific sector. We are used to traditional competition, right? But with this concept, unite companies from the same sector to work together, okay, as in the form of collaboration to advance the sector forward, the economy forward, and also to highlight the country's competitiveness on the local and on the international level. So it's about collaboration, it's about the visibility of a sector, it's about knowledge exchange and business expansion on the international level. So based on if we look at clustering as a concept and we zoom into each country, okay? So I want you to, let's start with ladies first, with Marwa. So Lebanon, we all know the endless challenges. We don't need to repeat them over and over. Why clustering? Based on the study that you've done in the Euromed Cluster Forward to develop the strategy for Lebanon, why clustering, and what is mainly the impact of clustering for Lebanese businesses to work together and collaborate?
Thank you, Krystel. Definitely, as you mentioned, for Lebanon in specific, given the geographic size, given the similarities and differences between the different regions and the diversity of the sectors in the country, clustering is very much fit because it will allow companies to grow together, achieve efficiently together, but also absorb shocks together, in the sense that with the ups and downs that we've been living in the country, the different changes at the economic, political, geopolitical levels, coming together will allow us a room to really absorb those shocks together, think strategically and creatively together, to help advance local economic development, but also at the national level. That said, with clustering comes a huge opportunity for enterprises and companies alike, in the sense of skills development, in the sense of organizational development, sharing resources, looking more into shared experiences and taking these experiences forward. At the same time, as we grow in clusters, we will see more and more the adoption of technology. The conversations yesterday and this morning on AI and adoption of AI, at the same time, the fear of digitally transforming and adopting this technology would ease up when we come together. So the opportunity of clustering in that matter definitely is huge. At the same time, with the sectors growing and the types and diversity that's present in the country, capitalizing on each other's knowledge, resources, and capacities will allow us to really grow, expand, and allow for more job opportunities, employment rates, which is definitely needed now in the country more than any time before.
Thank you. And to give a concrete example for Lebanon, based on what you're saying, so I want to state again the Koot cluster, which is the agri-food cluster that was formed under Berytech, under the Dutch-funded program. It's a great way to show in action how companies from the agri-food collaborated together are getting more opportunities to export, visibility to the sector, are integrating innovation into their food products. So it's all about exchange of knowledge, visibility, collaboration. And we are also supporting other sectors, such as technology, cosmetics, so we have many clusters being formed. Going back to Egypt, so Egypt is a bigger country. So a lot of maybe competition, opportunities. So how do you define clusters, or what's the form, the landscape of clustering in Egypt?
Sure.
Ahmed.
Before jumping to Egypt, I have to testimonial. So yesterday you had the chance to meet the team of Koot.
Yes.
But also tasting the great food coming from the cluster.
Yes, and
so
now you can taste them on the booth if you go.
Exactly, so it was really great actually. So going back to Egypt, so it's, I really like what you have mentioned, Marwa, about like the opportunity that lies actually in clustering. The case in Egypt was quite different than the rest of the region, because basically clusters in Egypt started organically, basically without knowing that it's named a cluster. So SMEs were basically very competitive, and this is a mindset that I unfortunately would say that it's very common in the region, that basically SMEs and companies would prefer to work alone instead of working with others. Mm-hmm. But then after the challenges became very pressing on all the
Can you give us examples of successful collaboration, particular sector in Egypt?
Yeah, so the organic cluster started developing because basically they started, for example, in the furniture sector, but also in the textile sector and the agri-food and food processing sectors. These are like specific examples for collaborations that happened between the different companies and the clusters, and they started emerging. So in Egypt, we have more than 140 organic clusters, not directly planned or designed or directly supported by the government. So they just found that there was an opportunity there, and they started merging and integrating with each other. So this is one example. On the other side, when the government in 2005 started developing the industrial development strategy, they started focusing on building clusters and as one of the modalities for attracting direct foreign investments as well. So they started focusing on building, planning and building and establishing clusters. So now we have more than 270 official clusters that are designed by the government. Most of them are basically public or private, like so we have both modalities, but then we have some of them in the industrial clusters. This is the majority of the clusters over there, but then you have others from the technological clusters to the free zones, to the economic clusters, either qualified or made clusters. So there are a lot of like
lots of forms,
but a lot of competition happening, but a lot of opportunities for growth as well.
Okay. Yeah. Coming to Morocco, so Maghreb, it was considered as one of the most successful countries in the region when it comes to clustering. Why? What made the cluster concept work in Morocco?
Actually, because it all started with a vision that was clearly formulated in the Innovation Summit back in 2009, and where the government has decided to boost cluster in order to create stronger industrial hubs. And it was clearly inspired from models like the Silicon Valley or Sofia Antipolis, but with our own source, let's say. And we have the goal was to create innovation ecosystem where you have universities, businesses, and R&D centers working together in order to promote collaboration project. And toward the time, this vision has evolved from just putting up the structure and getting people to work together to getting real results. We started focusing on changing and getting real products from research. So we start to working closely with universities and R&D actors, and also promoting startups.
The mic.
And also helping startups to grow. And most of all, promoting Morocco as a regional
hub for science. Actually,
hub.
I wanted to say, so from experience, Morocco is very active in science and technology. There's a strong collaboration with academia. Maybe this is what made really successful into bringing out the research within universities to connecting to business opportunities. Sébastien, back to you. Based on the presentation that you've done and based on your experience in France, in Europe, and in the region, what are some key recommendations or 2 or 3 recommendations that you would like to share with the Mediterranean countries, with our region, when it comes to cluster development?
Like I say, I think it's important to focus on companies and to provide services to companies to create, to have development, to have local development, to create jobs. And I think clusters is a good way to have this development. And public policies can amplify this movement, but not create this movement. And I think it's important to say that it's really a top-down initiative and not, it's a bottom-up initiative and not a top-down experience. And I think it's very important to focus in companies and to help companies to do their job. And I think it's a cluster it's a good way to do that.
To bring them together. So focus on the needs of the companies, how to give them visibility, how to support them to export internationally, and also share knowledge in specific sectors. So for the sake of time, I will focus now a bit with Ahmed and Marwa to see, you've done a study for Egypt and for Lebanon. And in the scope of the Euromed Cluster Forward project that is funded by the European Union, we will see implementation, concrete action based on the plan that you've developed. So I want you to name briefly what are the key recommendations that you've come up with to develop the cluster policy and the roadmap in Egypt. Let's start with Egypt.
So this is very interesting, and I would just like build on what Sebastian just mentioned. The integration between the top-down strategies and the bottom-up approaches is one of the actual key recommendations that we have seen, especially in the special case of Egypt. It's been happening that way. So the organic growth of the clusters, organically coming from the needs, the necessity that is coming from the market demand, was evolving actually the businesses to cluster together and focus on value chain integration together. And then when you have the top-down approach with the industrial clusters in particular and the free zones and economic zones, they started meeting each other somewhere But I think one of the key recommendations that also I would share here, but among others that were listed and mapped out in the study, was basically focusing on the financial foundation of the clusters, because basically we have found out that basically one of the major challenges for clusters, that there's nothing called cluster. What does it mean? Basically, there is no legal structure for clusters in Egypt, and we have seen the same case in other countries. So we have three modalities, one of them, among others, one of them would be basically an NGO work like of the businesses coming together to allow for facilitated access to finance, because they have no other access. And then other modality would be basically having a voluntary board of trustees working together to facilitate, again, the different services for the clusters.
So governance, sustainability.
Yeah, and another aspect would be basically establishing a BDS business development service centers inside business associations.
This is very interesting, by the way.
It's emerging actually out of existing structures. But then imagine if you have these kind of structured, facilitated in a proper way and in a government way.
And represented internationally to promote the business.
It will be able actually to represent internationally, but also transnationally. So basically governance would be essential for managing the clusters or for collaboration among the different clusters. The first one I mentioned was basically the financial foundation, and the access to finance is very essential. And the third one is basically the policy development for the clusters. Okay. And one of the key recommendations we came up with, inspired by other sectors like the entrepreneurship sector in Egypt, if we call it a sector, is basically the inter-ministerial committees. Because one of the challenges we have mapped, that there is no one owner for the cluster portfolio in Egypt. So it's basically split over 7 ministries. So having an inter-ministerial committee is one of the key practices here.
Anyway, for the people interested to read about the report, it's available online, whether for Lebanon and for Egypt. Marwa, adding to what Ahmed said, because I believe there are some... Okay, no, because I believe there are some similarities to both countries. So what are the 2-3 final recommendations that
definitely, I think, Krystel, the importance of at least the roadmap for Lebanon is that it is a result of multiple conversations with the government, with chambers of commerce, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Economy, ecosystem actors. So everyone has contributed to the development of the document, definitely facilitated by us. So it's a live document, it's there, the action plan is there, the priorities are there, and it's an opportunity for each and every one of us to really contribute moving forward. Looking back and zooming into Lebanon specifically, it's a similar case as in Egypt. At the same time, there was a lot of learning from Morocco and France in terms of the policy framework. So what's the legal framework? And I think this is a very high priority and an important aspect to start with. Okay, we're initiating clusters, we're supporting clusters, there are successful examples already, but then what happens next? What is the legal framework for this? There are federations in France, there are other modalities somewhere else. So this is important at the institutional policy framework level. At the same time, and within the same lines, there should be certain like specifications for sectors. So for each sector, what are the areas of focus? What are the subsectors with
the measures, the framework?
Exactly. So what are the measures? What are the subsectors with the high potential for growth that would allow for better clustering and more engagement at the cluster level? In terms of, I would say, organizational development, so what is the shape of a cluster? Yes, there's no owner, there's no leader, but how is it managed? So what is the organizational or governance framework that manages clusters? And this is something very important to start thinking of. If I want to talk about technology integration or technical support specifically, there's a lot to be done there, starting with technology integration and technical adaptation and support, but also in terms of skills gap. So we know that there's so many skills in Lebanon and outside Lebanon who are willing and wanting to contribute, but then what are the skills needed based on the sectors? What are the skills needed given the technological advancement today? What we studied a few years back is totally different. Now we need to readapt and reshape, so it's as well important to look there. And lastly, in terms of sustainability, again, given the economic situation, the banking situation, I think it's very important for all of us to start thinking of innovative financing mechanisms. So what are we going to look at, and how are we going to support clusters sustain forward?
Excellent. So sustainability, collaboration, also development of skills. We need to leverage on technology. And I want to add to what you're saying, being socially or environmentally responsible. So encouraging the businesses that we support to really always be integrate measures to support the environment and minimize any harm. So I want to keep the audience with one message: collaboration is key. Every country has its own specificities, but when it comes to regional approach, I really encourage all the countries to be open to collaborate, exchange businesses, ideas, and we've seen a lot of success stories thanks to the clusters supported in many countries. Also collaboration with research to really integrate the innovation component into the companies that we support. I want to thank our panelists. Thank you so much for coming from different countries and sharing the vibes we are having in PowerX. And for the reports, they are available online under the Euromed Cluster Forward webpage on Berytech. And if you would like to interact with our panelists, I invite you now in the networking area to learn more about their experiences and how you can benefit from their services. Thank you so much, and see you in the next, hopefully, PowerX Summit. Right, Rami? Yes. Thank you.